Alex Murphy stood by the massive window of the Galactic Council station, watching the stars. In just 3 years, he had gone from Earth's military intelligence division to becoming the most important human in interstellar politics. He hadn't asked for this role. He hadn't wanted it. Ambassador Murphy, the Rixian delegation has arrived. The voice belonged to his assistant, a young woman named Olivia Grant. Alex adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform and nodded. "Thank you, Olivia. Remember, record everything, even if it seems unimportant." The meeting chamber of the Galactic Council was a large circular room with seats for representatives of 57 different species. The Rixian Empire's delegation always sat at the center table. They were tall beings with smooth gray skin and 4 eyes that blinked in pairs. Their ambassador, Krell, wore elaborate robes that sparkled with precious metals. "We welcome all species to this discussion of border arrangements in the Orient sector," said the council moderator, a bulbous floating creature from a gas giant world. Alex took his place beside the main Earth representative, Susan Clark. She was the official ambassador, but Earth's government had created a special position just for Alex. His title was Observation Specialist, but everyone knew he was there to watch the Rixians. Krell's upper eyes narrowed when he spotted Alex. "I see the humans continue their unusual protocol of sending 2 representatives. Observation Specialist Murphy attends all high-level meetings as part of Earth's diplomatic approach," Susan replied smoothly. She had explained this dozens of times before. The meeting began, and Alex stayed quiet. His job wasn't to speak. It was to watch, listen, and analyze. The Rixians were requesting mining rights in a system close to Earth's colony on Proxima Centauri. They offered trade routes and protection in return. As Ambassador Krell spoke, Alex felt something strange, a subtle pressure in his ears, barely noticeable. He glanced around the room. The representatives from the Delphinian Republic were nodding slightly. The Vorn delegates leaned forward. Even Susan seemed unusually focused on Krell's words. Alex made a small note on his tablet. Pressure changed during key points of negotiation. The meeting continued for 3 hours. When the Rixians proposed a joint patrol of the mining sector, Alex noticed the pressure sensation again. The Centauri colonial representative immediately agreed to terms that seemed less favorable than what they had discussed in pre-meeting briefings. After the session ended, Susan gathered her materials. "That went well. The Rixians are being quite reasonable." Alex frowned. "Did they? The patrol agreement gives them access to our supply routes." Susan blinked several times, as if clearing her head. "I suppose you're right. I'm not sure why I agreed so quickly." Later that night, Alex sat in his private quarters reviewing the recording. He slowed down the audio and enhanced certain frequencies. There was something there, just at the edge of human hearing. His communication device beeped. It was a message from Earth's Secretary of Interstellar Affairs, Lisa Harmon. "Your reports on the Rixian negotiation patterns are concerning. Continue observation. We're sending more equipment on the next transport." Alex stared at the audio patterns on his screen. The Rixians were doing something during these talks, something subtle. Most species didn't notice, but humans seemed less affected. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. When he opened it, a hooded figure quickly slipped inside. It was a Delphinian diplomat named Zeth. "You notice it too, don't you?" Zeth whispered, his bioluminescent spots glowing with anxiety. "The way everyone agrees when they speak." "What do you know?" Alex asked. "Not here." Zeth glanced around nervously. "The Empire has built their power through these negotiations. They've annexed 23 systems in the last decade, all through peaceful agreements. But something isn't right." "Why tell me?" "Because the Rixians fear human observers. They've tried 3 times to have your position eliminated from the Council protocols. You're immune to something the rest of us aren't." Zeth moved toward the door. "Be careful, human. The Empire doesn't tolerate obstacles." After Zeth left, Alex sent an encrypted message to Earth. Something is happening during Rixian speeches. Need frequency analysis equipment immediately. I believe we found why the Empire is terrified of having humans present during negotiations. A week passed since Alex's meeting with the Delphinian diplomat. The equipment from Earth had arrived, and Alex spent most nights analyzing recordings from previous negotiations. He barely slept, his small station quarters now filled with data screens and analysis devices. "You look terrible," Susan said when they met before the next council session. "Are you sick?" Alex shook his head. "Just working. This meeting with the Rixians and the Vega Coalition is important." Susan frowned. "Don't make waves. Alex, Earth needs these trade agreements." The Vega Coalition represented 5 star systems with valuable agricultural planets. The Rixians wanted access to their food production capabilities. On paper, it looked like a standard trade deal. As they entered the meeting chamber, Alex activated the small device in his pocket. It would record all sound frequencies, even those beyond normal human hearing. Ambassador Krell nodded coldly to the human delegation. "I see Observation Specialist Murphy joins us again. How consistent of Earth." The coalition representatives seemed nervous. Their spokesperson, a blue-skinned humanoid named Jali, kept glancing at the Rixians. The meeting began with standard formalities. When the Rixians presented their offer, Alex felt that strange pressure again. This time, he was prepared. He tapped a small button on his wristband, marking the exact moment in the recording. Jali's posture changed subtly. Her initial tension faded, and she nodded along with Krell's words. "The Empire offers protection for your agricultural worlds in exchange for 30% of your grain production," Krell said. "A most generous arrangement." 30% seems high. Alex spoke up suddenly. Susan shot him a warning look. The pressure in the room intensified. Alex felt it now definitely, a subtle vibration just at the edge of his awareness. Krell's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in sequence. The coalition understands the value of imperial protection in these uncertain times. "We accept the terms," Jali said quickly. 30% is acceptable." After the meeting, Susan confronted Alex in the hallway. "What was that about? You're not supposed to speak during negotiations. Did you notice how quickly they agreed to 30%? Last week, they were firm on not going above 15%. Susan paused. "Well, the security situation has changed. Has it? Or did something change during that meeting?" Alex showed her his wristband. "I've been tracking these moments. There's a pattern." Later that night, Alex sent his findings to Secretary Harmon. The encrypted message included audio files and timestamps of when the strange pressure occurred, always coinciding with moments when other species agreed to Rixian terms. Secretary Harmon's reply came quickly. "Your data matches 3 other incidents we've documented. We're sending Dr. Nathan Powell to assist you. He's our top xenolinguist." The next morning, Alex was reviewing trade agreements from the past 5 years when he noticed something. Every species that made significant concessions to the Rixians had used their universal translator technology during negotiations. Earth was one of the few worlds that insisted on using their own translation devices. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. A woman stood at his door, not Olivia or Susan. "I'm Karen Mitchell," she said quietly, cultural attaché from the Earth Embassy on Rixus Prime. Alex studied her. "You're not listed in any diplomatic registry." She smiled slightly. "No, I'm not. May I come in? Your room isn't bugged." We checked. Once inside, Karen pulled out a small device and showed Alex a brain scan. "This is a Delphinian brain during normal conversation." She showed another image. "This is the same brain while listening to a Rixian diplomat." The difference was clear even to Alex's untrained eye. Certain areas showed increased activity. "The Rixians are using subsonic frequencies to influence neural pathways," Karen explained. "Most species are susceptible, but humans have different auditory processing. We can sense it, but it doesn't affect us the same way. That's why they don't want us in meetings." Alex realized. Karen nodded. The Empire has conquered 23 systems without firing a shot. Their victims practically handed over their worlds during peaceful negotiations. We need proof that everyone will understand, Alex said. That's why I'm here, Karen replied. We're going to catch them in the act. Alex couldn't sleep. The data from his recordings kept playing in his mind. For 3 days straight, he had analyzed the audio patterns from Rixian diplomatic meetings. There was definitely something there, a pattern of sounds just below normal hearing range that occurred whenever key agreements were reached. At dawn, his communication device chimed. Dr. Nathan Powell had arrived at the station. "You look terrible," Dr. Powell said when they met in Alex's quarters. He was a tall man with gray hair and quick eyes that missed nothing. "When did you last sleep?" "Sleep isn't important right now," Alex replied, showing Powell his findings. "Look at these patterns. They appear whenever the Rixians secure favorable terms." Powell studied the data carefully. Fascinating. These frequencies operate just at the edge of most species' hearing range. But humans process sound differently. "Can you build something to detect and analyze these frequencies in real time?" Alex asked. Powell nodded. "Give me a day. I brought equipment from Earth." While Powell worked, Alex attended another council meeting. This time, he paid close attention to the physical reactions of different species when the Rixians spoke. The Vorn representatives leaned forward slightly. The Delphinian's skin brightened. Even Susan seemed to relax her posture. After the meeting, Zeth the Delphinian approached Alex again. "Did you notice anything today?" "Yes," Alex said quietly. "Everyone reacts physically when the Rixians reach certain points in their speeches. My people have been concerned for some time," Zeth admitted. "We've signed 3 treaties with the Empire in recent years. Each time, our negotiators agreed to terms they later couldn't explain." That evening, Powell finished his device, a small pin that could be worn on clothing. It would vibrate gently when it detected the suspicious frequencies. "It also records everything for later analysis," Powell explained. "Secretary Harmon wants solid evidence before making any accusations against the Empire." The next day, Alex wore the pin to a critical meeting about defense arrangements in the Orion Arm. Ambassador Krell led the Rixian delegation as usual. "The Empire proposes joint patrols along the borders of the Procyon system," Krell announced. "For the safety of all species, of course." Alex's pin vibrated. He marked the moment in his notes. The Altair representative immediately nodded. "A sensible precaution. We agree." The pin vibrated again when Krell suggested placing Rixian monitoring stations near Earth's colony worlds. Again, most representatives nodded in agreement. "These monitoring stations," Alex interrupted, "would they include weapon systems?" Krell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of irritation. "Purely defensive capabilities, Specialist Murphy." Alex noticed something strange. When he spoke, disrupting Krell's presentation, the other representatives seemed to blink and shift in their seats, as if momentarily waking up. After the meeting, Alex met Powell in a secure room. "The data is clear," Powell said, analyzing the recordings. "The Rixians embed subsonic frequencies in their speech patterns. These frequencies trigger subtle neurological responses in most species, making them more agreeable." "Mind control?" Alex asked. "Not exactly. More like gentle persuasion. It bypasses critical thinking, makes other species less likely to question or object. But humans aren't affected the same way." Powell nodded. "Our auditory system evolved differently. We can detect the frequencies but aren't as influenced by them. That's why the Empire wants humans excluded from negotiations. You're immune to their most effective diplomatic tool." Alex's communication device beeped with an urgent message from Secretary Harmon. Information confirmed by 3 sources. Rixian Universal Translator technology contains the influence mechanism. All species using their translation devices are susceptible. Proceed with caution. Earth is sending reinforcements. As Alex processed this news, A notification appeared on the station's main communication channel. The Rixian Empire had formally requested that humans be barred from council meetings, citing disruptive behavior incompatible with diplomatic protocol. "They're trying to get rid of us now that we're close to the truth," Alex told Powell. "We need more concrete proof," Powell replied. "Something that will convince the entire council." "I think I know how to get it," Alex said. "But it's going to be dangerous." The Rixian homeworld glowed like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Alex stared out the shuttle window as they descended toward the capital city. Tall spires of crystal and metal reached toward the sky, reflecting the light of the system's twin suns. "Remember, this is a cultural exchange. Act like you're honored to be here," Karen whispered beside him. After their discovery of the subsonic manipulation, they had expected resistance from the Rixians. Instead, they received a surprise invitation to the Imperial Court. "It's a trap," Alex had told Secretary Harmon. "Of course it is," she had replied. "But refusing would give them diplomatic leverage. Go, but be careful." The shuttle landed on a platform adorned with Rixian symbols. 6 Imperial guards waited for them, their scaled skin shimmering with ceremonial oils. "Welcome to Rixus Prime," a tall Rixian said. "I am Jorval, Master of Imperial Hospitality. Emperor Vorthal is pleased to host representatives from Earth." They were led through vast hallways decorated with artworks from 100 worlds. Alex noticed that many depicted signing ceremonies or peace negotiations, trophies of the Empire's bloodless conquests. Their quarters were luxurious but clearly designed for surveillance. Alex found 3 listening devices within minutes. He left them in place. "The welcoming ceremony begins in 1 hour," Jorval announced. "You will be provided with translation devices for your comfort." After he left, Karen pulled out a scanner. "The room is clean of subsonic emitters, but they're watching through those wall panels." Alex nodded. "They'll give us their translators during the ceremony." "Yes, that's when they'll try to influence us. Here." Karen handed him a small flesh-colored device. "Put this in your ear. It looks like the Rixian translator that blocks their frequencies while still translating." The Imperial Court was a massive circular chamber with a ceiling that seemed to reach into the sky itself. Hundreds of representatives from dozens of worlds stood in concentric circles around a central platform, where Emperor Vorthal sat on a throne of shifting metals. "Impressive," Alex whispered. An attendant approached, offering ornate necklaces with small translators attached. "For your understanding of the ceremony," the Rixian explained. Alex and Karen accepted them with polite nods but didn't remove their hidden earpieces. Emperor Vorthal rose, his 4 eyes scanning the gathered crowd. "We welcome our friends from across the galaxy to share in peace and prosperity under the benevolent guidance of the Rixian Empire." Alex felt it immediately. A powerful wave of subsonic pressure, much stronger than anything he'd experienced in the council meetings. Around them, diplomats from other worlds smiled and nodded with blank expressions. "With each new friendship, our galaxy grows more secure," the Emperor continued. "Today we celebrate new agreements with the Centauri colonies and the Delphinian Republic." Alex noticed several human diplomats in the crowd, all wearing Rixian translators. They looked unusually relaxed, nodding along with the Emperor's words. One of them, a man Alex recognized as Ambassador Frank Collins, actually applauded when the Emperor announced increased Rixian patrols near Earth's colonies. "They're affecting other humans." Alex whispered to Karen. "How is that possible?" "The translators here must be more powerful," she replied quietly. "Our natural resistance isn't enough against direct exposure." After the ceremony, they were invited to a reception. Ambassador Collins approached them, his movements slightly stiff. "Isn't the Emperor magnificent?" Collins said, his eyes unfocused. "I just agreed to allow Rixian observers at all Earth military installations. Such a wise move for peace." Alex maintained his composure with effort. "Very interesting, Ambassador. When does this agreement take effect?" "It will be announced tomorrow at the signing ceremony," Collins replied. "A historic day for Earth-Rixian relations." Later, in their quarters, Alex paced frantically. "We need to contact Earth immediately." Karen shook her head. "All communications are monitored. We need to get Collins away from here before that signing ceremony." "Why invite us?" Alex wondered. "They must know we suspect something." "To convert you or discredit you," Karen said. "If you return supporting their policies, Earth's resistance ends. If you make accusations without proof, you'll look paranoid." "We need that proof now," Alex said, looking at his recording device. "And we need to stop tomorrow's signing ceremony before Earth's sovereignty is compromised." Dawn broke over the Rixian capital with deep purple light streaming through the crystal towers. Alex had barely slept, spending most of the night analyzing data from his recording device. The subsonic patterns were clearer here, stronger and more structured than what he had detected in the council meetings. "We need to get to Collins," Alex said as Karen entered his room. "If he signs that agreement, Earth's military will be compromised." "The signing ceremony is in 4 hours," Karen replied. "I managed to access the Imperial network. Look at this." She showed him her datapad. Military movement orders were being prepared for 3 star systems near Earth space, the Procyon, Sirius, and Ta City colonies. The orders were dated 1 week after the signing ceremony. "They're planning an invasion," Alex whispered. "Once they have observers in our military bases, they'll know exactly where to strike." "It's not just Earth," Karen added, scrolling through more documents. 3 other species are being targeted. They all have signing ceremonies scheduled this week." Alex stood up quickly. "We need to warn them." "Already working on it. I've sent encoded messages to the Delphinian and Altair representatives. But we need to focus on Collins now." They found Ambassador Collins in the Imperial Gardens, sitting alone on a bench, staring at nothing in particular. His usual sharp expression was replaced by a relaxed, almost dreamy look. "Frank," Alex said gently, sitting beside him. "We need to talk about the agreement you're signing today." Collins smiled vaguely. "It's a great honor. The Emperor personally requested it." Karen scanned him with a small device. "His neural patterns are disrupted. The translator necklace is still active, emitting low frequencies." Alex carefully reached for the necklace. "Frank, this translator is malfunctioning. Let me fix it for you." As his fingers touched the device, an alarm sounded. 2 Rixian guards appeared at the garden entrance. "Step away from Ambassador Collins," one commanded. "Tampering with Imperial gifts is forbidden." Alex raised his hand slowly. "The device seems to be causing him discomfort. I was only trying to help." The guards approached, their hands on weapon holsters. Karen moved slightly behind Alex, slipping something into his pocket. "You will return to your quarters and prepare for the ceremony," the guard ordered. "Ambassador Collins has important duties to perform." Back in their rooms, Alex found a small device in his pocket, a signal blocker Karen had managed to pass to him. "It might disrupt the translator's influence," she explained. "But we need to get close enough to use it." A message flashed on Karen's datapad. "The Delphinians received our warning. Their representative is requesting emergency communication with Earth." "Will they believe him?" Alex asked. The Delphinians have been suspicious for months. They'd been tracking unusual concessions made by their own diplomats. Their conversation was interrupted by a loud crash from the hallway. Karen rushed to the door and peered out. Someone's collapsed. Alex joined her. A Rixian servant lay on the floor, convulsing. Guards rushed toward them. "Medical emergency. Stay in your rooms." But as the guards passed, one roughly pushed Karen. She lost her balance and fell backward, hitting her head on the corner of a table. Blood immediately pooled on the floor. "Help!" Alex shouted. "She needs medical attention." The guards ignored him, continuing down the hallway. Alex knelt beside Karen, checking her pulse. It was weak but steady. His communicator beeped with an incoming message from Earth. It was Secretary Harmon. "We've received the Delphinian warning. multiple species reporting similar concerns. The Rixians have issued an ultimatum: withdraw you from diplomatic service or face sanctions from the Galactic Council. Alex looked at Karen's unconscious form. This wasn't an accident. The Rixians were eliminating threats. He sent a quick reply: don't withdraw. Send Gregory Winters immediately. Collins compromised. Military invasion planned after signing ceremony. Need human backup urgently. The signing ceremony was less than 2 hours away. Karen was injured. Collins was under Rixian control. And Alex was now trapped alone in the heart of the Empire, with proof of their deception, but no way to expose it. Alex paced in his quarters, watching the minutes tick away. Karen lay on the bed, her head bandaged with strips torn from a bedsheet. The Rixian medical team had finally arrived, but only gave her a cursory examination before leaving. Their message was clear: her well-being was not a priority. Karen, Alex whispered, gently shaking her shoulder. Can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered open. What happened? You hit your head. I think they did it on purpose. She tried to sit up, wincing with pain. The signing ceremony. 1 hour away. I managed to get a message to Earth. They're sending Gregory Winters. Karen's eyes widened. Winters, the veteran negotiator. Yes, Earth is doubling down on human presence instead of backing off. A knock at the door made them both freeze. Alex moved carefully toward it, ready for another confrontation with the guards. Instead, a small Rixian servant stood there, head bowed. I bring formal attire for the ceremony, the servant said, offering folded garments. As Alex took the clothes, the servant slipped a small note into his hand, then quickly walked away. Alex unfolded the paper once the door was closed. The message was simple: not all Rixians support the Emperor's methods. The central control for translator frequencies is behind the throne. Access code 7229B4. A resistance movement? Karen asked, reading over his shoulder. Maybe. Or another trap. Alex studied the note. But we don't have many options. Karen struggled to stand. I'm coming with you. You can barely walk. You need backup. And I know something about Rixian tech you don't. She reached into a hidden pocket in her boot and pulled out a small device. This can generate a canceling frequency. If we can broadcast it through their own system, it might disrupt the influence over everyone in the room. They dressed in the ceremonial clothes, hiding their devices within the folds of the fabric. The outfits were elaborate, with multiple layers and decorative pieces that provided excellent concealment. Imperial guards arrived to escort them to the ceremony. The Great Hall was now filled with even more diplomats. Alex spotted representatives from at least 20 different worlds, all wearing the Rixian translator devices. Ambassador Collins stood near the Emperor's throne, smiling blankly as he reviewed the documents he would soon sign. There's our target, Alex whispered, nodding toward a small control panel visible behind the throne. But how do we get there? Karen leaned heavily on his arm, her injury not entirely an act. Create a distraction. I'll handle the panel. The Emperor entered the hall to sounds of ceremonial music. The subsonic pressure was immediate and intense, making Alex's teeth vibrate. Without their protective earpieces, they would have been overwhelmed. Representatives of the galaxy, Emperor Vorthel announced. Today we celebrate new agreements that strengthen our peaceful union. Alex caught the eye of the Delphinian representative across the room. The alien gave an almost imperceptible nod. At least one other species was aware and waiting. As the Emperor continued speaking, Alex moved slowly through the crowd, positioning himself closer to Collins. Karen separated from him, making her way along the wall toward the throne. And now, the Emperor said, we will witness the signing of a historic agreement between the Rixian Empire and Earth. Collins stepped forward, stylus in hand. Alex needed to act now. He surged forward, shouting, Ambassador Collins is not authorized to sign. I invoke Emergency Protocol 7 of Earth's Diplomatic Charter. The hall erupted in confusion. Guards moved toward Alex as he continued shouting diplomatic objections, citing obscure Earth regulations. The distraction worked. All eyes were on him. Karen reached the control panel, quickly entering the access code. A small green light appeared on the panel. She attached her device and activated it. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Emperor's voice faltered. The subsonic pressure in the room suddenly vanished. Around the hall, diplomats from various species blinked in confusion. Some put hands to their heads, looking disoriented. Ambassador Collins froze, the stylus dropping from his hand as awareness returned to his eyes. "What? Where am I?" Collins asked, looking around in confusion. "What is this document?" The grand ceremony hall descended into chaos. Diplomats from dozens of worlds looked around in confusion, many removing their translator devices as they realized something was wrong. Ambassador Collins stared at the document he had nearly signed, horror growing on his face as he understood its contents. "Guards, seize them!" Emperor Vorthel shouted, pointing at Alex and Karen. "They have committed acts of sabotage against Imperial technology." 6 Rixian guards moved toward them, weapons drawn. Alex stepped in front of Karen, who was still weak from her injury. "Stop!" A powerful voice cut through the confusion. Gregory Winters strode into the hall, flanked by representatives from the Delphinian Republic and 3 other species. Despite only arriving minutes ago, the veteran Earth negotiator had already formed an alliance. "What you're witnessing," Winters announced to the gathered diplomats, "is evidence of the Rixian Empire's greatest deception. Their translator technology has been manipulating your minds during every negotiation." Emperor Vorthal's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in sequence, a sign of extreme agitation that Alex had learned to recognize. "These are baseless accusations," the Emperor said. "The humans are trying to destabilize peaceful relations with technological interference." Winters held up a small device. "This records subsonic frequencies that affect neural pathways in most species. We've been gathering evidence for months." The Delphinian representative stepped forward. "The human speaks truth. Our scientists found unusual patterns in the brain activity of our diplomats after Rixian meetings." Alex moved toward the central platform, pulling out his own recording device. "We have proof. The Rixian translators emit frequencies that make other species more agreeable and less critical during negotiations." Karen joined him, though she had to lean on a nearby pillar for support. "That's how they've annexed 23 systems without firing a shot. Their victims agreed to terms they wouldn't normally accept." Diplomats began murmuring among themselves. Several reached for their own communication devices, contacting their homeworlds. "How convenient that humans are immune to these supposed effects," Emperor Vorthel said dismissively. "This is clearly an Earth plot to gain influence." "Not immune," Karen replied. "Just less susceptible. Our auditory system processes frequencies differently. Some humans are more resistant than others." Alex connected his device to the hall's main communication system. "Listen to what the translators have been doing to you." He played back a recording of the subsonic frequencies, but modified so all species could hear them clearly. The sound was unsettling, a pulsing, almost hypnotic rhythm that made several diplomats wince. "This is what you've been exposed to during every meeting with the Rixians," Alex explained. An ambassador from the Altair system suddenly stood. "My government agreed to surrender mining rights to 3 planets last year. We never understood why our negotiators accepted such unfavorable terms." Others began sharing similar stories. Treaties signed, concessions made, agreements reached that, in retrospect, heavily favored the Empire. "This is why the Empire fears human presence in negotiations," Winters said. "We can detect their manipulation because we're not fully affected by it." The Emperor's composure finally broke. "Remove these humans immediately. They are violating Imperial protocols." But the guards hesitated, looking around at the growing anger of the assembled diplomats. A Rixian in simple clothing stepped forward, the servant who had passed Alex the note. "Not all Rixians support these methods. Some of us have been trying to expose the truth for years. More species representatives were removing their translators now, demanding explanations from the Rixian delegation. Ambassador Collins tore up the document he had nearly signed. Earth withdraws from all negotiations until a full investigation is conducted. The Delphinian representative raised his voice. We propose a new protocol. All future diplomatic meetings must include human observers to ensure fair negotiations. Murmurs of agreement spread through the hall. Karen leaned close to Alex. We've done it. They can't hide this anymore. But Alex was watching the Emperor, who was speaking urgently to his advisors. I don't think they'll surrender easily, he whispered. They've built an entire empire on this deception. They'll do anything to maintain it. As if confirming his fears, the hall doors suddenly sealed shut. Emergency lights flashed, bathing everyone in red light. No one will leave this chamber, Emperor Vorthal announced, his voice cold, until we resolve this misunderstanding. Red emergency lights cast eerie shadows across the great hall. The sealed doors created an atmosphere of tension as diplomats from across the galaxy faced Emperor Vorthal and his guards. This is an act of war, Gregory Winters said calmly, addressing the Emperor. Detaining diplomatic representatives is a violation of Galactic Council law. The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. Laws that we shaped through centuries of careful negotiation. You mean manipulation, Ambassador Collins said, fully recovered from the translator's influence. How many of those laws were passed while representatives were under your subsonic control? Whispers spread through the crowd. The implications were enormous. The entire structure of galactic diplomacy might have been shaped by Rixian influence. Alex stepped forward, despite the guards aiming weapons at him. You can't silence everyone in this room. Too many worlds are represented here. The truth will spread. Perhaps, Emperor Vorthal said, but we have contingency plans. A loud boom shook the building. Several diplomats cried out in alarm. Imperial fleet movements have been detected near 4 major systems, a voice announced over the communication system. It was Secretary Harmon, speaking from Earth. Somehow, she had hacked into the Imperial communication network. Your military maneuvers have been exposed, Emperor. 17 worlds have already pledged defensive support against Rixian aggression. Karen smiled at Alex. Earth had been busy while they gathered evidence. The Emperor's advisor whispered urgently in his ear. The ruler's posture changed subtly, a Rixian sign of concern that Alex had learned to recognize. Your empire was built on deception, Winters said, but it can't survive exposure. Too many species are now aware of your methods. The Delphinian representative stepped forward. We propose a new protocol for all galactic negotiations. Each meeting must include at least 1 human observer to ensure no manipulation occurs. Humans will serve as guards against mental influence, added the Altair ambassador. Their natural resistance makes them ideal for this role. Emperor Vorthal's eyes blinked rapidly. You would give humans such power, a primitive species that only achieved space travel in the last century. We don't seek power, Alex said. We seek fairness. All species deserve to negotiate on equal terms, without hidden influence. The doors suddenly unsealed. More representatives entered the hall. An emergency session of the Galactic Council had convened in response to the crisis. The Council Elder, a being from one of the oldest species in the galaxy, addressed the Emperor. The evidence is compelling. A formal investigation into all Rixian diplomatic agreements of the past 50 years will begin immediately. Emperor Vorthal looked around the room, realizing his position was untenable. Centuries of careful manipulation had unraveled in a single day. The Empire agrees to the investigation, he said finally, and to the presence of human observers in future negotiations, in the interest of galactic harmony. 6 months later, Alex stood in a newly constructed chamber in the Galactic Council headquarters. A plaque on the wall read, Murphy Protocol Training Center. Dozens of humans from Earth and its colonies were learning to detect and counteract various forms of subtle influence. "Your sensitivity training is improving," Karen said, now fully recovered and serving as the center's co-director. "The latest class can identify 17 different types of manipulation." Secretary Harmon joined them, reviewing the training data. 28 species have requested human diplomatic consultants. We can barely keep up with demand. "And the Rixians?" Alex asked. "Their influence is declining daily. Already 7 systems have renegotiated their treaties. The Empire is shrinking back to its original borders." Alex watched the trainees practicing with various detection devices. "I never expected humans would find their place in galactic diplomacy by being stubborn and suspicious." "The galaxy needs that," Gregory Winters said, entering the room. "Every negotiation needs someone who asks difficult questions and remains skeptical of too-good-to-be-true offers." A young trainee approached Alex. "Is it true some humans are completely immune to all forms of subsonic influence?" "We're still studying that," Alex replied. "About 15% of humans show extraordinary resistance. We're trying to understand why." As the galaxy restructured its diplomatic processes around the Murphy Protocol, one thing became clear: the presence of even one questioning, skeptical human could change the outcome of negotiations that affected billions of lives across countless worlds. The Empire had been right to fear them all along.